You can't hold me down. 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 You can't hold me.
In the past, I've been just using this MS230C. You guys seen in my other videos. I cut a lot bigger sections, logs, and trunks, other than just tree branches. This is recommended for, I think, under 6 inches in diameter, so something like this big. And I've been obviously cutting stuff like this big, so it's a little bit more than what it's meant to do. So I decided to upgrade to this MS391, and I've had it for, I think, almost 2 years now, and I've gotten quite a bit of use out of it, and it's working great. It pretty much gets everything else that I can't get that with that. It's a little bit heavier saw, so if it's small stuff, I still try to use that. If I'm cutting the big stuff, I'll go ahead and go with this. It has a different pull string. That one has the where you pull it and then it'll try to start. This starts when you pull it. So far, I don't really know which one I like better. I would say I kind of like this one better, because that one's just kind of weird. So sometimes you pull it and it kind of waits a while, and then it and you just like pull it and sometimes you have to go boom, boom, boom. I don't know. I think I'd recommend over this, over that that they're trying to do some easier starting stuff, but you have your little easy to release turn knobs. I really like these, how they easily open up for you, both the fuel and the bar chain. I'm gonna go ahead, and then you have that lock. So if you're up somewhere and you're cutting, like I was in a bucket, so there's a lot of times after I got done cutting up there, I didn't want to kill it, because then I'm back up there pulling on it and it was hot. So I just click it, lock that blade up, put it down in the bucket, move the bucket where I need it to be, unkick it, go back to it. So and this also has this spark plug thing. You have to push that down when you start it. Again, you have your choke, half choke, idle, and kill switch. I'm going to go ahead and put this in 2x speed just to speed this portion of the video up. So I'm going to be putting a lot of footage of me actually using the saw. So here you can see that I filled up the oiler, bar chain, and now I'm going to go ahead and put the mixed fuel in. I'm not going to go ahead and list and tell you about all the specs of this saw. I'm going to go ahead and put a link in the description for you to check that out. Go to a STIHL site and read all the specs for this saw if you're interested in that. This saw does come with a tool to tighten and loosen these bolts to get your access to your chain and your actual bar. Make sure you get those tight. I have already lost one, so I'm going to go ahead and throw some links to Amazon for some replacement parts. So you can look those up in the links if you need to also get some replacement parts. Right there, I was just pointing at the little bar tensioner. There's a little thing there. When you put the bar on, you need to have it lined up with that hole. So I just take this stuff apart, clean it out. Sometimes the chain will fall off, so you have to take it apart and put that chain back on. But you want to make sure that oiler is clean, so oil is coming out and getting on your chain. So far, I really like this saw. I've had some cheaper saws in the past, like the Polands and a couple other ones, and I've had a lot of issues with those because once they get hot and warm up, they don't want to stay running. You can't even start them. It takes like a couple hours for them to cool off, and then you only get like a 15-minute run with them because then they're overheating again. And this saw, I've ran it many times, really hot, long period of time, and I've never had it like have problems stay running. It's important to also have the right file to sharpen your chain. Each chain has its own file, and every so often, probably every other time I fill the gas and re-oil it, I'll go ahead and run through the chain and go ahead and give it a couple little files to keep it sharp. Notice that you keep that chain sharp. It always stays cutting a little bit better. Only issue that I've really had with this is like when it runs out of gas, it'll just die. Normally I know that it's out of gas, so I just go ahead and fill it now, but getting it started sometimes can be a pain to get that gas flowing back through there. The saw's pretty easy to start. Put it on choke, give it a couple pulls until you hear that boom. Then put it on half choke. Starts right up, and then automatically goes to the run, no choke. In my last review of my smaller chainsaw, I had a couple comments about I'm not supposed to rock the chainsaw back and forth doing this, and I'm getting ready to show you why I'm doing that. The chainsaws have these little teeth, and once you get down in there far enough, the teeth can sink in, and then you push pressure going down, and those teeth will bind against the wood and let you force that chain down into it, and it cuts it much faster. And then you have to come back to let that teeth drop down some more, and you can do it again. So that's why you're rocking back and forth. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it from here, But I'm getting ready to cut this log for you to let you guys see me do it. Got some in there. Hopefully you're able to see that. I know it's kind of hard to get you guys in there to see it. But again, those teeth are binding into this wood, allowing you to put pressure on that blade to sink into the wood. Chain popped off, so now I'm going to do what I showed you, is just take those bolts off and put it back on and tighten it back up. Normally when the chain falls off, it means it's break time. I go ahead and let the chain and the bar cool off so I can touch it. So then I just take a quick break. Or instead of letting it cool off, you can use gloves. When that log fell, it hit that blade just right and got it to pop off of there. What I'm doing right now is turning that screw, let that little bar tightener come down to the hole. Got it down there now. I know you guys can't see it, but thought I'd explain what I was doing at least. I'm just going to tighten it up to get some pressure on it. Alright, I wanted to show you guys also how to check and see if the saw is actually oiling. If you need it to oil, so it's not good. You need oil on that saw. You just take it, hold it a little away from the wood, and you'll spin it. You'll see a little bit of wetness from the oil on the log. You see the oil spitting out, so that means you know that it's oiling. With these larger logs, one of the things I'm bad with is getting that blade to cut straight all the way through. And even if I did have it cut straight through, and the log's laid down like this, and I get closer, you know, over halfway through to almost all the way through, that's when there's a little bit of pressure and it'll bind the blade down in there and you can't cut anymore. So what happens is then I try to roll it over to cut on the other end where it doesn't have pressure. And then that's when the lines don't meet up. You can see I have this one right here. Well, maybe that's not it. Well, it was looking like it wasn't lined up. Now I can't tell. But if it's not, sometimes I do run into that issue, and it just makes you have to cut a little bit longer. And then also these knots. I try to work around the knots as best as I can. The knots are much harder to cut, so I try to get before or after it, then right on it. Sometimes it's hard to do when you're trying to cut it in a certain length, because otherwise you're going to be cutting it too short or too long. And my dad, he wants them shorter than what I'm cutting them, because he's old, and he says that it's hard for him to carry them after, even though we split them up. But I told him I wasn't going to cut them that short, because that's a lot more work on cutting. So I try to get a good foot to a foot and a half. And it's nice to have a tractor, because I can lift this up, which is what I'm getting ready to do now, and then it won't be binding, and then I can cut those all the way through without trying to roll it and do all that stuff and have the saw bind up. Guys, if you guys have any comments, leave them down. Let me know what you guys do, because who knows, I might be doing it wrong. Girl might want to see this.
He's gonna get his ass fucked. That's the boy does. He's gonna get your ass whooped.